Alright, being a car YouTuber, there are a few gimmicks, and one of them is the super underrated cars, and then it's like the 350Z and stuff. I'm really good at picking a lot of really good, actually underrated cars, and the issue is, I'm getting tired of making videos about them. I've made so many videos again and again and again, because I've come up with new models, so I'm just going to include all of them in one big video, and then I never have to do this again. Same with the first cars. I had 12,000 million best first car videos. I condensed it into one, so here's me condensing underrated cars into one video for all my picks for top underrated cars of all time. Alright, so we're starting off with the Mazda CX-7. Now, the reason why I put this first, and a lot of people are we're going from least underrated to most underrated. I would say put this first because is it underrated? Yes, but also kind of no. Think about, like, do you really recognize this car? Do you really think about it? Is it something? No. In that way, it is underrated. But also think about how many times you've seen it. They are everywhere, even though no one cares about them, and when they're buying used, they never buy one used intentionally, but when you go to a used car dealership, and you ask for a decent-sized SUV, guess what they pull out? A Mazda CX-7. And they're even bringing it back with the new Mazda CX-70. They just put a 0 after it to make it sound more fancy with higher numbers. Because, you know, we need the jingling keys to make sure that we spend our money to the corporate overlords or whatever. Now, the Mazda CX-7 was only made from 2007 to 2012, and there's a big issue with it. You see, it only seats 5 people, which I think is really stupid, and it's the same thing for the new Mazda CX-70. It's, like, useless. You know, like, I get what it's doing, and I would say a car that I give a lot of praise to is the Kia Rondo. Like, for me, that's how cars should be. It's spacious, it's got all the room in the world, it's very efficient. This is, like, the same class. So if you're looking at a Kia Rondo, because I say I like the Kia Rondo, get this instead, much more reliable. But I just don't see the function of it. The reason why it didn't sell well, and why it wasn't great in the first place, was because, you know, they had the entire, you know, minivan Mazda, you know? So it's like, why would you get this, which only has 5 seats, when you can essentially get a minivan that just has 2 sliding doors instead of this weird crossover Kia Rondo looking thing. But now in the used market, if you're looking, you know, you're looking at a CX-5 or something like that, look at one of these. They're older, but used. They can have, with lower mileage, good storage space, and a lot of perks over a modern Mazda. And also they look semi-modern, and you'll fit in with traffic. So, you know, they're decently good. I wouldn't say they're too underrated, but I say they definitely earned a spot on this list. Next is, of course, the Toyota Venza. Now, the Toyota Venza is a little bit complicated, and here's why it is second to first on this list. Was it underrated? Of course it was. It was great. Is it kind of where I would expect it to be? A little bit, in terms of sales and use. So, essentially, when these things were new, I would have expected them to sell much better than they did. Essentially, it's a Camry with all-wheel drive, with a nice floaty suspension, a V6, and an excellent, it's like the best RAV4 we never got, except it doesn't have a third row. And it didn't sell that well. Now there's still a lot of them on the road, a lot more than you'd think there are, just because they've been incredibly reliable. I mean, come on, they're essentially Toyota Camrys. What can you expect? But I would just say they are underrated. If you're looking to buy a used RAV4, look at a Venza. I mean, a RAV4 is smaller than this is. A RAV4 is probably a little bit more efficient. RAV4 has a smaller engine. Some RAV4s don't have all-wheel drive for the same price as a Venza, so just go ahead and check out a Venza, or even the second generation. The second generation is pretty good too. Also, another thing, if you're looking for specs, wait until the end. I have a large spec sheet for all of them, rather than having it and having the assets and individually putting them in, you know, on each different screen. So wait until the end, and then we'll look at, you know, stuff like that. Moving on to the Mitsubishi Mirage, and not for what you think. A lot of people like the Mitsubishi Mirage because they say it's a fantastic car. I agree sometimes, but genuinely disagree. It's a great car. It's very reliable. It's nice. The thing is, what makes it truly underrated for me is that it's a small car. Not that it's a Mitsubishi Mirage. You know what I mean? Like that, it's fine. The Mitsubishi Mirage was always an okay-ish small car. But this is literally the last small car on the market that is not a Nissan. It is, well, it kind of is. But, you know, it's reliable. It's nice. You can buy them new for like $10,000. You can't do that with any other car. So I would highly recommend the Mitsubishi Mirage. Now, the interesting thing about it is that it has a very strong following for those who do own it, but there's still a lot who actually don't own it, and I think they could use some Mirage, you know what I mean? It's comfortable, it's nice, it's new, it's not very fashionable, but it's small, and more importantly, it's yours. So, you know, don't rule out the Mitsubishi Mirage. It's genuinely a good choice, and don't rule out small cars in general. Alright, The next is the Volvo C30. It's nice, it's stylish. Now here's the thing, I think it's underrated used. These are genuinely, they're great cars to drive, they're very reliable, they're small, they fit groceries, they're excellent, the glass hatch is very neat, and they're from a reputable brand, unlike Think or some other brands, so parts finding is easy. Sorry, if you hear some inconsistent waving in the background, that's my dumb air conditioner. I have a Media, and for some reason it takes, go on low fan setting as kind of a suggestion, so it kind of wafts up and down. I don't know what this thing's even thinking it's doing. Anyway, I would say instead of being underrated when they were new, like some of the other cars on this list, I would say this is underrated when it's used. A lot of people are looking for hot hatches and stuff, and yet they never even consider the Volvo C30 R Design, which is genuinely a fantastic hot hatch. So give this one a look. Also, if you just live in the city, you want a small car, and a car that, no one's really gonna want to steal that, you know what I mean? Like, it looks weird, so people aren't gonna assume it's worth a whole lot, but it has a lot of personality. So if you're looking for something in the city, or just something, or you live in a small township, you have a big car, and you just want a little car, a little safe car, more importantly, get a Volvo C30. Alright, so next is the Toyota CHR. Now, this is a car which I think was underrated when new, not used. I think this is mainly Toyota's fault. The issue with this is they really didn't know how to market it. It's not really a hot hatch. It's kind of a crossover. They didn't know what to do with it. But used, again, a great deal. If you're thinking of a RAV4 or something like that, like a lot of people get RAV4s when they don't need one. I have a RAV4 right now. I don't really need a RAV4. All I need is all-wheel drive and a reliable engine. This is exactly that. It's a small car, well, not small, not really compact, mid-sized car, smaller than a RAV4, has less trunk space than a RAV4, smaller second row than a RAV4, but if you're like a little biology teacher, you know what I mean, or stuff like, or a hairdresser, or a person like me who has friends but has other cars, you do not need a RAV4. A lot of people get a RAV4, they think, oh, it's gonna be small, it's gonna be portable. That's not what a RAV4 is at all. And also, they're engineered differently. This is engineered to be sporty, fun, all-wheel drive when you need it. The RAV4 is engineered to be gruff, rugged, a little bit of smooth, kind of like, you know what I mean, like the standard Camry Toyota. This has got a little bit of the GR spunk to it. So, before you buy a RAV4, before you go on the Toyota dealership and say, I need a 2019 Toyota RAV4 right now, and they charge you $25,000, look at a CHR, and it'll cost you like, $15, but less mileage. I mean, it's crazy the used prices on the CHR. They're just so low. Now, it is weird, but again, for $5,000, yes. For $5,000, I will say yes to the weirdest space potato car on the planet. And even newer, I find like 2022 ones for $15,000. Meanwhile, there's RAV4s on the lots crossing 30 that are 10 years. I mean, it's ridiculous. Alright, next is the Honda Accord Crosstour. Listen, this thing, Honda did one thing right, and that was the name. Accord should have been in the name. You see, a lot of people that are buying CRVs look at these and they say, oh, I want a CRV. You know what I mean? Or an HRV or whatever. That's not what this is for. What this is for your Honda, your Wisconsin dad, your Ohio dad, with the two dogs, the corgis or whatever, who goes to a dealership and buys the Accord, knowing damn well he needs a V6 and all-wheel drive, and yet he'll never say that to the dealership because he wants a good deal. This is what Honda could never find the right person for this car. And yet, there are so many people that own Accords right now, which would do so much better in the areas that they're in with the Honda Accord Crosstour. It's like having a regular, goat in a really mountainy area. It's like, well, you could have a mountain goat, and yet you choose to have the regular goat, and the mountain goat would do so much better. Don't live in some place which has, snow, and then say, oh, I just need my regular Accord. It's fine. When you could have the regular Accord, more space, all-wheel drive, and a V6, if you don't have that already. So, I mean, come on, why not? In terms of underrated-ish, new or used, I'd say it's been underrated its entire life. That's why it's this far. If it's gotten this far into the list, it's officially from now on, it's like endangered. Criminally underrated from here on out. Alright, 2 Hondas in a row, the Honda CR-Z. Why? And again, this is just something that Honda does. It's a running theme in this video. Cars that just couldn't find their people. See, a lot of people would go into the dealership, they'd be expecting something like a Toyota GR86 or something fun, you know what I mean? To hang out with the guys. And they try this out, it's just a Honda Insight. And they're like, oh boy, it's a stinker. This thing's so bad, I'm never gonna touch it. And then they left the dealership in anger. And then barely anyone bought one. That was the issue, and it's because it never found its people. This is not for someone who wants to go fast. This is not for someone who wants a fast car. This is not even for someone who wants a coupe, which is bad on Honda for that part, because they couldn't figure out what the hell they were trying to do. It only has 2 seats for come on, Honda, figure it out. No, the person that this is for the teenager who just bought the Honda Civic Type R and overpaid too much, and what they really need is a small, efficient hybrid, but they don't want to look uncool in front of their friends who don't drive. What they need is this car. Trust me, you floor it, and it will go, and it will rev high, and your friends will go, oh, this car's so fast, because they've never driven a car. Trust me, it will be fine. You don't need the Civic Type R. This has plenty of cargo room to move. There's only 2 seats. I mean, come on. It's just, like, Honda didn't... I blame Honda for this one. If there was a contest for an absolutely unsellable car, this would be it. Parents think it's bad because it's a coupe. Teenagers and people that would buy it as their first car think it's bad because it's a hybrid. People that like hybrids think it's bad because it doesn't look like a Prius or an Insight. Insight buyers think it's bad because it's not called an Insight. I mean, it's just weird. HRV buyers and CRV buyers think it's bad because it's not an SUV and yet it shares the same name. It just doesn't make any sense. But, that's the best part about oddly specific cars. They are for oddly specific people. So if you're looking for a slow, hybrid, 2-seater coupe, again, Honda, what were they smoking? Because I mean, Scott, for a car company that is not adventurous at all to come up with a 2-seater, slow, hybrid coupe? Come on, what were they doing in that room when they approved? I get that it had, because us fat Americans that had 4 seats in Japan or whatever, but if you are an oddly specific person, and this car is for you, you know what I mean? You're a high school teacher, you want a practical Honda, you like hybrids, you want the fuel efficiency, but you don't have any friends, or a wife, or a family, and all you want to do, or a husband, or it doesn't matter, and you just have a dog, or something like that, and you just need to carry groceries home, and you want the kids, when they walk by, to say, yeah, guys, that's my red coupe, and you want to say that this is the car for you. If you're an art major, and all you do is carry paintings, and you want a large, flat, not very tall cargo floor, this is the car for you. I am telling you, if you're oddly specific, this car will fit your needs in a very odd and specific way. Wonder why. Thanks a lot. Come on. I mean, this is one that I can talk for hours and hours about. Honda, again, I know I've already said, what were they thinking? I mean, really, I would love to be a fly on the wall when they approved this thing. They wouldn't even approve the Honda, I'm guessing, Honda CR-V Sport, and yet they approved this thing. Alright, next is the Honda Ridgeline. Now, this is just underrated because people never really gave it a chance. Now, compared to something like the F-150 and stuff, is it really that big of a... especially like the F-250 and F-350. Is this really a competitor? Not really. But for a normal person, like the Hyundai Santa Cruz buyers and the Ford Maverick buyers, for anything under the Ranger, everything like that, this is a better truck. Now, I will say, it is outshined a little bit. I would personally buy like a V8 Toyota Tundra or Tacoma or something. I would say over this, but other than that, for a very specific person, if you're that very specific person, this is the perfect car for you. It's excellent. It's a truck, except it drives more like a car. It's got a decent sized bed. It's good for your family. It's just as practical. So it's good, but I wouldn't call it a truck, like a serious hauling truck competitor. It is more now in the later generations, but I would say more like a Ford Maverick, Hyundai Santa Cruz, and it is miles better than any of those could ever be, just because they're all based off of like dinky little SUVs, and this is based off of like a family SUV. So a very underrated car. Moving on to the next one. Again, we're getting into the range here of cars that are underrated more for their size, shape, and the company that made them and the design choices they made, rather than like, oh, we never really knew this car existed. You know what I mean? The Volvo XC70. Now, this is a car that I have a lot of feelings on, personally, because I own it. Now, I think it's underrated because it's just so much better than every other crossover, because it's an off-road wagon. Now, let me explain to you why. So, I have both a 2015 Toyota RAV4 and a 2015, because that was the last year they had the T6, turbo 6, inline 6, T6 i6 engine for the Volvo XC70. And the XC70 is better in every single way. It's better at off-roading, it's better in the wintertime, it can carry more stuff, it can carry more people more comfortably. It is just so much better. If you're buying used, I would say out of all the car brands, Volvo, Mitsubishi, like these smaller Japanese, like foreign brands that are actually made well, not like Hyundai and Kia, which are not small and also not that foreign, I would say they are the best. You know what I mean? Like they are the best. They're great. They manufacture stuff pretty decently, especially with Volvo. They're great at reliability. They're even better for safety, and yet they are the most underrated. You know, Mitsubishi, they make great cars. They're sometimes very reliable. The issue is now they're partnering with Nissan, but before they did that, which is, you know, a while ago, they were a very good brand. Same with Volvo. Volvo is like the #1 underrated brand. It's very unfortunate. They're a great brand. It'll beat out your crossover or Honda CR-V in every way possible. It's just a really, really great car, and it's underrated because people never saw this as a crossover. People, again, it never really found its people. But you should test drive one of these. It's everything you could ever want and more. Its people is the crossover people. Like the XC60 came out, and then that's still around today, and yada yada yada. I genuinely think this is better than an XC60. It rides more comfortably. It's more luxurious. I just love it. It's a very, very well designed, well built, sturdy, reliable. More importantly, especially when buying used cars, safe vehicle. Alright, the final one is, like, this isn't the final one, but this is this is the 4th most underrated, then we're going to get into the top 3. This is very underrated for so many reasons. First of all, because it's better. It's not just a wagon, which are already very underrated. It's better than a normal wagon, because believe it or not, this is a JDM car. Now, it's not a JDM car, but it is, and let me explain that to you. It's not JDM, and you can't say, oh, I drive a JDM car, but it is, though. You want to know why? Because the Acura TSX Sport Wagon, specifically the Acura TSX, is just the Japanese domestic version of our Honda Accord. So our Honda Accord is different from their Honda Accord. Our Honda Odyssey is different from their Honda Odyssey. The Honda Odysseys they have over there are wagons because they're essentially just a, you know what I mean? They're a Honda Accord wagon. You know what I mean? So this is essentially a Japanese Honda Accord wearing an Acura skin. It's also underrated, so it's already better. Making it Japanese doesn't make it better, but it rides smoother. It's more comfortable than the regular Accord, which is why they chose it for this purpose, to be a luxury vehicle. It's sporty. I love sport wagons are great. I loved, the Volkswagen Golf. That was a great one. The Subaru WRX. Look at that one. That was a weird one. Why can't we have an Impreza wagon? That would be so nice. The point is, it's underrated because and also coming straight from Japan and the Japanese domestic market, it's super, super reliable. The interior is nice, it's quiet, and the best part is they're cheap. No one wants these, no one thinks they're cool, no one enjoys these. You see what I mean? This is what I love about this YouTube channel. A lot of people would never notice this, you know what I mean? A lot of the clickbaity YouTube channels would never really notice a car as underrated as this. And yet we do, because we specialize in normal street traffic. And there are genuine, some car guys will look at the Volvo XC70 or something like that and say, oh, that car is pretty basic. And then when they find out it's an inline 6 turbo all-wheel drive car, they're like, oh yeah, that car's pretty sick. So occasionally, there are some pretty cool cars in normal traffic, and this 100% tip-top, mental, or whatever, that's our Golden Girls reference, is a fantastic version. It's a fantastic example of that. Excellent car, very performance-tuned, very luxurious, and yet it's just hidden in normal traffic where no one would ever look at it with another second glance. You know the song Rolling in the Deep? That was made by Adele? Well, you see, they tell you it was made by Adele, but what they never really tell you is that it was just sung by Adele. The person who wrote it was the Subaru Tribeca, because they could have had it all. Subaru, what were you thinking? Come on, they could have just released the Subaru, what's the Ascent? That's not even a good name, the Ascent. They could have released the Ascent as the Tribeca 2 Electric Boogaloo, and no one would have noticed. Why did they have to change the name? They could have had it all. Everyone was asking for Subaru to make a 3-row family SUV, and when they come out with it, they decided to make it look like it was hit by a plane. I mean, they decided, yeah, let's go back to our plane heritage. You are not Saab. What were they thinking? I wish I had been in the room. They could have, come on. There is no reason why the Subaru Tribeca there's no reason why it sold as bad as it did. It should have sold better, 100%. The Ascent was a hit. The Tribeca should have been a hit too. The design was it. They redesigned it. It looked fine, and they had to mercy kill it anyway because of those stupid designers. Come on. Think about it. Let's get in the headspace of a car company. Saab, whose entire thing was being unique, was just axed by GM because GM was like, was it GM? Yeah, it was GM. It was, they're too much originality. We can't sell the 97X and the Trailblazer and everything and just keep rebadging all of our shitty cars into Saabs, so we're just gonna kill it off. That was happening, and Subaru's like, you wanna know what we should do? Make a car that looks, and it was originally supposed to be a Saab too. Saab was supposed to get their own variant of the Tribeca, and they're like, you want to know what? In honor of Saab, let's make it look like the weirdest thing ever. Well, guess what? It didn't sell anything, and you ended up killing off a perfectly good model name, a perfectly good model year, a perfectly good SUV, which could have sold very well, just because you decided to make it look hideous. For now, I get you. Oh, you used to make planes in Japan. Fantastic. That's great for you. Do that, they were so misguided. They were so excited. They had an entire lineup of cars with this plane face on it, and they released the Tribeca, and it flopped so hard. And every time, I feel like if I ever had to feel bad for a car, I'd feel bad for the Tribeca. Imagine this. Personify yourself as a car. Imagine this. Subaru. They're a good brand. They've taken over as the default all-wheel drive pet family brand. They're not owned by another car company. There are no restrictions. They bring in good amount of capital, and it's finally time for them to enter the market like the Toyota Highlander that has been created of family SUVs that are built the same way cars are. You know what I mean? Because you technically have the Trailblazer and stuff. That doesn't count. None of those, they don't count. I mean, you know what I mean? You know what, like the Mazda and the Kia Rondo, just like, you know what I mean? Like SUV crossover things that are essentially cars on stilts. That's what I'm trying. They could have entered it, and it was a lucrative market, and it was perfect for Subaru. And all-wheel, like, Toyota is killing it with the Highlander. It was all-wheel drive, it was a family car. They were just killing it. Subaru, with their all-wheel drive reputation, they could have slapped Toyota. They could have put Toyota, they couldn't have put Toyota out of business, but they could have gotten rid of the Highlander with one slap if they just made the Subaru Tribeca any bit cromulent, and they decided to pull it now. Now's the reason why they made the Tribeca the way it was is so that they could, feel the waters. Like, if this weird design is going to work, then we're going to launch it on our most popular car. And I get the reasoning behind that, because then if it fails, the design's really bad. Well, guess what, guys? The design was real bad. They tried redesigning it, and then they just were like, let's just not sell one. And then, everyone else, the Highlander, all those guys were advancing and getting better, and the Pilot, all of those were having more generations and more sales and more cars down the used market for more recognizability. Subaru was just sitting on their hands, saying, well, it didn't go well last time, but if we release another one, it's going to be too close to the Tribeca. So they just sat there, it didn't release anything. Subaru, you could have been so good, and you chose to ruin it all with your stupid design. Like, what? My other favorite thing, when has Subaru ever done this before? This is the only time they've ever decided to experiment with their design, and it was on literally a third-row family crossover in the late 2000s. It's for the killing. It's the best. It's super lucrative, super diverse. It's saturated. It was perfect, and they decided to pull this now. When have they done it before? When have they Subaru ever been adventurous with design? And I don't mean, body styles and the Legacy Outback was daring. I don't mean like that. I mean like design. And they chose to do it now. This is the one time that I still get upset. I'm like, come on, it could have been the perfect car. It could have been the Ascent, and now the Ascent is behind. Subaru doesn't know how to make big cars. They have the stupid turbocharged Boxer in there that needs more than a turbocharger. It doesn't need a turbo. It needs a turbo. It needs a supercharger. It needs a hybrid system. It needs an F7 plane jet. It needs a black. It needs everything. It's too small of an engine. They should have figured out that you need a V6 or come up with a hybrid system like Toyota. And yet they still have not done yet. Why? Because they're still figuring it out. They just released it in 2014. The Ascent, they released it in 2014. That's so late, and it's still the same generation because they don't know how to make big cars. You are supposed to learn these lessons early. That's why you release cars at the same time as everyone else. And now the Ascent, which should be selling way better than it is now, the Ascent is still being affected by this, isn't, because it's less evolved, less cromulent, produced not quite as well as the other. Come on, Subaru. This one really makes me mad, but the most underrated one, we'll just talk about it. It's kind of like the third and second most underrated. Those are the most interesting. The last underrated one is just underrated. All right, and now for the Suzuki Kizashi. This one is kind of complex because it failed and then Suzuki left. So, I mean, not a whole lot to talk about. Now, you see, it wasn't that dramatic. Essentially, they released it in 2009. It was a great little car. It was fast, it looked normal, and it was one of their, like, hero cars. They were not doing good. The financial crisis had hit them hard. They did okay being, like, a cheap, affordable cars brand, but it hit them more than they would ever imagine. And so they were like, you want to bring us back, let's actually, spend some money, take out let's design some new cars. And this is one of them. In 2009, they released this right in the middle of the financial crash. They thought, this is going to be a good sell, and in the end, it was a total stink. It just didn't sell, but again, 2009, and then they left in 2012. It wasn't that bad and that clear cut, but I mean, it was a good car. The point of it is, it's a good car. No one knows that it existed. It never really got its chance to shine. If they came out with a second generation, I'm sure it would have been better. You know what I mean? Like, and I would say, when it was new, it was a little bit underrated. Now it's really underrated. Like, if you go to a dealership and see one of these, test drive it. They drive very, very well. They're very convincing. Parts might be an issue, but, I mean, come on, whatever. Come on, it's a 12-year-old car. Just do some oil changes and it'll be fine. Now, on to the third was the Subaru Tribeca. Actually, third was kind of shared. It's kind of like the Subaru Tribeca and the Honda CRX a little bit. CRZ. God, that name is so hard to remember. And then the Suzuki Kizashi. And then the first underrated car ever is not the first, but you know what I mean. The most underrated car, in my opinion, is, of course, the Lexus HS. Most of you could have seen this coming if you watched my channel or watched any of the videos that I mentioned. This car, I could talk for a little bit about it, but it's just you know what I mean? You know when a story is just so bad, you couldn't really talk about it for that long, but it's just so bad? This is like what that is. It's just so underrated, and yet there's not a whole lot to say. Essentially, it was a performance hybrid sedan at a time when everyone wanted hybrids. I'll just explain to you on what levels why it was underrated when it was new. First of all, Lexus, they were trying to build out hybrids, so they made their first hybrid, but they wanted it to be more performance, so they gave it a bigger engine, and it was, quite quick, actually, compared to the, normal Prius, because it had a larger engine. It was underrated because it was better than the Prius. Another reason why it was underrated when it was made was just because everyone wanted flashy, look at me, I'm so great hybrids. Lexus tried to make I'm so rich and luxurious. For the same reason, this was not the first Lexus hybrid. The first Lexus hybrid was, I think it was the Lexus LS600HL. I think that was, the LS600HL. I think that was released in 2009. This guy was also released, you know what I mean? This was the first wave of Lexus hybrids as they first started dissipating into the realm of Lexus. And I really don't know what they thought they were doing here. A lot of people like the Prius. A lot of people couldn't afford the Prius. The best-selling trims of the Prius were the lowest trim ones because, the people that want to save the environment stereotypically are not usually the wealthiest of people. And yet they chose to release there was just so many reasons. People wanted a flashy hybrid that told everyone they were a good person. This was just a normal car. People wanted a slow hybrid that made them feel like they were saving the environment. This essentially compromised being a good hybrid for being quick, which didn't really make sense, and it wasn't an F-Sport, and it's just a bunch of stuff that they did not make. But all of that makes it a fantastic used car. Fantastic used car. Better engine. Much. If you're going to buy a 2010 Toyota Prius, buy a Lexus HS instead. Why? Well, because they're a lot more reliable. Because remember, they have a different engine. You bypass all the most. Again, this was still the era of Toyota engine problems. Watch my video on that if you actually care. But they bypassed many of the stupid crap that the 2010 Toyota Prius had. The piston ring, the oil consumption, all that stupid crap that the 2010 Prius just screwed up. This bypassed a lot of that. It's very fast. It's just a good car. So if you're looking at a Lexus ES, look at an HL. It's a little bit smaller, but it's a hybrid. It's decent. It's quick. You'll never notice it. I mean, it's quick. And it's also attractive. To me, I think it's a very well-stylized car. Now, the issue with it is, on the interior, it does have a chinny chin. Look at that chin. It's the biggest chin I've ever seen on a car. But it's not that bad. It's manageable, and with a replacement stereo, it should be fine. Or at least usable enough to drive. Although, I personally would never want to touch that chin. It's like, I'm surprised the car doesn't grow a beard. I mean, come on. Lexus, what were you thinking? It's kind of it's like when they didn't care so much, they created something wonderful. Like, they stopped caring enough. They're like, well, just put the shifter up, I guess, and then it has to look like a Prius, because we have all the mounts for the Prius dash, so just make it stick out like a chin. That's the parts where, it being kind of a compliance car really stick out. Other than that, great vehicle. They accidentally made something very usable, still very usable today, and extremely reliable. I mean, extraordinarily reliable, like Lexus reliability, even though the hybrid system is great, but definitely not from those years. We may be a sometimes clickbaity car YouTube channel, but we do have some substance. So here is the spec sheet for all the cars we've been talking about, if you've been wanting it. You know what I mean? So let me just finish off with some finishing thoughts here. First of all, I just want to talk about the YouTube channel in itself, and I think I'll remake another Why Do I Love Cars video, just because I'm in that spiritual, car, sensual mood right now. I mean, come on. This channel has so much going for it. I mean, we look at this list of underrated cars. You cannot tell me that you knew, and I get the CHR and the Honda, what is that thing called? Oh yeah, the Honda Ridgeline. Those, you probably know that those existed, but some of these cars, I bet there was at least one car on this list that you didn't know existed. Why? Because good cars hide in normal traffic. They really do, and yet the car guys will never find that, and it's bizarre. I feel the reason why I started this channel was because I feel like there's a big gap between everyday car traffic and then automotive journalism, and Top Gear was kind of in the middle. I'd say it's right in the middle for reference. I'm not really criticizing them. I've pulled some of the most ridiculous examples of underrated cars list. And let me go down and just tell you some of the cars that they thought were underrated. Because again, this is just, what they're doing is their audience is different from mine. They're focusing on, performance car people. And so, first of all, the Mazda Miata. That is probably the most overrated. I mean, it's fine. It's a fun car. It's a nice car to drive. There are plenty of other, especially after the Miata, and I think sometimes better done as well, rear-wheel drive, front-engine convertibles. Ford Mustang, come on, man. That's just not, come on, that's just a performance car. It's not underrated at all. They're everywhere. The Toyota Camry, come on, guys. What are we talking about here? This is a big disconnect. It's like the car people that focus only on car guys and only on people that are, oh yeah, I'd never drive a normal car. Like, well, the Camry can actually be pretty good and reliable, believe it or not. That's not, I really think our list is so much more substantial. There's some crazy stuff in here. Honda Civic, Toyota Prius, fine. Dodge Viper, give me a break. That car, everyone loves the car and no one would buy it. They're saying, oh, well, no one really bought it and it didn't sell well because of how expensive it was. Give me a break. Lexus LX470. Come on. Why? Why not just say Land Cruiser or 4Runner? Why? Because there's a difference. All the cars on this list were underrated because, you know what I mean, they just couldn't really find their person. They had something weird about them. Or, when new, they didn't find their audience. Or now that they're used, they're a substantial value and people don't really know that. The Lexus LX470, I get what they're going for, but it's not really underrated. It's just a 4Runner, but Lexusified. You know what I mean? It's like, the reason why it didn't sell well is because you can get a 4Runner for cheaper. There's an actual reason. Now, some of these cars, there are reasons why they didn't sell well. The Toyota CHR could be priced similarly to the RAV4, and the RAV4 made a lot more sense, but used, again, different reasons. Subaru Outback/Crosstrek. What are they even talking about here? Come on. Underrated? That's literally the two most popular cars Subaru sells. You want to know why they put that on that list? Because the car, and I think car guys are fantastic. I'm just saying, I think a lot of the automotive journalism is crap. Especially with clickbaity stuff like, oh, most underrated cars. I think it's genuine slop, garbage. I really think it is. Super Outback, why they're saying that is because they know that most car guys, where they want something nice, something Japanese, but also something easy to maintain, like a daily driver, they'll buy a WRX. They're like, well, also, the Crosstour is good, too. So that's exactly why they're putting that in there. The Honda Ridgeline, fair. That's on this list. I'll give it to them. That is totally fair. And then the Mazda 3/CX-30. Come on, whatever. That's just those sold so well. Who even cares anymore? And the CX-3. They all sold well. They're all small hatchbacks. So what I'm trying to get at here is because this channel focuses on normal traffic, some of these cars I didn't even know about. I'll tell you just really quickly a rundown of the cars that I didn't even know existed until I started this YouTube channel. The Lexus HS, the Subaru Tribeca. I had no idea the Crosstour existed, the TSX, or even the TSX Sport Wagon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then when I started this, I started learning more about cars. cars and doing stuff, even though I had a decent knowledge already, and I genuinely have, you know what I mean? Like, these cars, to me, I've made so many videos about underrated cars as I learn about more and do stuff and see them on the roading. I literally looked at a Toyota Venza and thought, what the hell is that? That looks like a Sienna, and I go, oh, wait, it's that weird Venza thing that they came out with. And then I was like, and then I did some research. I'm like, this thing is pretty, you know, this thing's da bomb. You know what I mean? So, and my family even owned one of them. They're just so unrecognizable. And they hide in plain traffic, and yet they're so much better. And that is entirely because this is a regular traffic channel. You know what I mean? I'm sure many of you, if you're watching a video like this, have watched a lot of underrated car videos in the past where, you know, it's just like, oh, this car is underrated, and it's like the 350Z or something ridiculous like that. These are truly I'm just applauding myself for finding truly underrated cars and collecting them all in one video instead of being clickbaity and saying part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Now let's just talk about performance here. There are some pretty good outliers. Lexus HS 8.4 seconds doesn't sound fast. When you remember, it's pretty much the same as the Venza. That's like, I would say the average time for a car 0 to 60, like all cars, would be 8.4 seconds. It's better than the 10 to 11 seconds of the Prius. That's because I believe it had a 2.5 liter instead of a 1.8 liter. I believe that was the difference. No, I think it had a 2 liter. It doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, just, you know what I mean? There are some decent performing vehicles out here. The Honda Ridgeline, tow rating, 5,000 pounds, pretty good. I'm just saying, there's a lot of diamonds hidden in the rough here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you all very, very soon. And I still can't believe that they would say that the Subaru Crosstour is underrated.